Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the Pokemon Legends ZA trailer today and the Pokemon Champions trailer today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So I would say this trailer was interesting in the way that it was kind of a story trailer, but I feel like it really didn't tell us much about the story at all. And in that way, it's even more disappointing that we pretty much got next to no gameplay, I feel like. I mean, seriously, we have this, so much of this trailer is introducing us to characters that it doesn't really tell us anything about those characters, though. So it's just like, I'm not sure what the point was here. You know what I mean? Like, what are we really doing with this? If the trailer is going to be so focused on showing us characters and then not tell us anything about the characters, and then the gameplay it shows us doesn't really show us anything interesting, right? It's just showing Mawile or Sableye, click a move, and that's it. Which I don't think is a good representation of the gameplay, and if it is, that's not good either, because that means the gameplay is bad. But I don't think the gameplay is necessarily bad. I just think they're not showing us things about the gameplay, right? We want them to show us them moving around and pressing the buttons like as they move and reacting to things like they did in previous trailers, and they just didn't do that, right? So I would say that was unfortunate. I mean, it just shows this customization, which is really cool, and I do think is nice to see. I do think there's still like more they could do just in terms of customization, but I think all the clothing options they showed were really cool. But yeah, and I feel like this is a really long time though to do customization options. Like, it's cool, but like it's not a selling point that I want to see time spent on in a trailer, right? And so yeah, and like the whole trailer you see is just continuing to be about this introducing the characters, and I still feel like we don't know much about the story. And so that's my gripe with the trailer. But I will say I enjoy, or I don't know. I think I like how the game looks. Like, obviously the game's very ugly, but I do think it looks fun. The problem is, I guess I'm kind of imagining what the gameplay loop is, and they could have showed us more like that with Whirlpool, where they show Whirlpool the move power and the cooldown, and I feel like the cooldown is going to be very important, but they're just like not showing us much about the battle system at all, which I don't really get. Yeah, I guess they did show us this Rogue Mega Evolution, which is cool. I don't know why this shit is dropping frames, bro. I don't know what's going on. I think it's the YouTube side, because OBS is dropping it. But regardless, they also showed us Mega Dragonite. My take on this guy is he's very, very ugly. Um, I do not like how he looks at all in any way. I don't know why he looks like that. But they did show us some of the gameplay of this though, which was cool. Even though it was like, you know, I don't know, not very short snippets and stuff. I feel like they didn't really reveal that much, I guess, is really what I'm getting at here, is what did they actually reveal? You know? What did they actually reveal about this game? In my opinion, it doesn't feel like much, right? They showed us more characters, but I just don't have a reason to care yet, I feel like. And then the gameplay they showed us was few and far between, with very short snippets that just really didn't do a lot to make me super interested. And so I feel like they're really holding back. And in terms of the gameplay, at least, I think they might be holding back because they're worried that it is so different, that they're almost worried to show too much of it, because they did show a lot of it in the previous trailers, and there was like not a loud, people not liking it, but there were people concerned about it, I guess, even me. And so I don't know, it feels like they're holding it back because they don't want people to see too much of it because it's so different. But I feel like that's the draw to the game, is that it is so different. So I don't know why they're holding back on that. And even the story things, I feel like they're holding back. Like, you can't introduce me to characters if I don't know like why I should care about this character. So that's my opinion about that. They did show the character doing side quests, which was pretty interesting. Or not interesting, but I mean, I guess it's just nice to see that there's going to be things to do within the city. So, yeah. I don't know if I have much else to say about this game. Like, I do think the trailers have been super mid, but I think the game's going to be, like, good. Not great. It definitely won't be great. I don't know if Game Freak has a great in them. But I do think they have good, and I think this game could be good. So that's my take. The trailer was pretty mid, though. I mean, seriously, what did they show? Anyways, let's move on to Pokemon Champions. Alright, so Pokemon Champions. If you don't know, I quite enjoy competitive Pokemon. I play a lot. And so I find this concept of a game inherently interesting. A battle simulator done by Game Freak, or I guess the Pokemon Company, whatever, done by themselves. It's inherently interesting, and the concept of getting these battles quicker, and they actually look really good, and whatever. The problem is, it doesn't look that great. I feel like it should look a little better. Maybe I'm wrong. I will say the animations of the moves themselves look pretty good, but the rest looks, I don't know, a little questionable. And yeah, that's what I'll say on that for now. Is that the visuals themselves, I don't know, it looks a little questionable. I mean, it still looks good for what it is, but I feel like you would want a game that whole point is battling the battles to look a little bit better. That's what I'll say. Anyways, they also talk about the VP system. We don't know enough to really comment on that, but at least it needs to be easier to get VP than it is to raise Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet or Sword and Shield. Otherwise, this game has no point in existing. So it needs to be easier to get VP than that, and I'm sure it will be. It seems like you'll probably just get VP by battling, but it needs to be easier to get VP than that, and hopefully we don't know how the monetization is going to be in this game. We don't know really what it is. It has to be easier than that, and let's be honest, it's probably not going to replace Showdown for most people that truly play competitive Pokemon. But I think it being, I just think the concept is interesting. I still think a lot of people that play Showdown will at least dabble with this. So hopefully it all hinges on the VP being relatively easy to get. So we'll have to see how that works and how that happens. But they really didn't show anything else interesting about the game. I mean, there could be, solo battles. They didn't show that. I don't know. The same way there is in Master Duel, how you have solo battles against, certain decks or whatever. They could have showed something like that. They didn't show that at all. They only showed a few different modes. They didn't show any 6v6 ladder. It looks like it's just Battle Spot singles and VGC for ladders, and then you have the private battles. They haven't shown any events. It doesn't feel super fleshed out, right? It feels like a really half-baked live service game that Pokemon already has, like 2 TCG live service half-baked games. So I guess they just needed to get a piece of it on the video game side, but like the standard video game side because they also have Unite. Um, but yeah, it just doesn't look that interesting outside of being a pure battle simulator that hopefully is good enough for what that is. But I feel like there's a lot more they could do with it, at the very least, to make it even more interesting and even more enticing to the average player. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on it. Hopefully the VP is easy enough to get. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the Pokemon Presents. Really, nothing else is interesting at all. So, yeah, pretty mid Presents in general. Hopefully the games themselves are not mid in that way. Anyways, I'll catch you fellas.